Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Baking Steel Test Kitchen. My name is Andres, and today we are doing a pesto pizza, naked pesto pizza. It's going to be amazing, incredible. So take some notes, ask some questions, and let us know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the after show, make sure you follow us or make sure you're on our email list because we're doing these classes every week and we love them. We love you guys. You're amazing. Let's have some fun. Today is going to be epic because Alexandra Stafford, alexandracooks.com, created this naked pesto pizza like years ago, and we just love it. So let's get right to it. I've been preheating my oven, and we're going to get to questions at the end of this. So just take some notes, ask some questions, put them in the box, the Q&A, and we'll get to those afterwards. For now, I'm going to give you my what I've been doing this morning. I've been getting everything ready, and that involves me preheating my oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. This is an electric oven. I've got two steels, a baking steel on the top, a baking steel on the bottom, for at least 1 hour, because the idea is to get that thing super hot. I've got my pizza dough ready. I've made some dough balls. You can see a couple of these around 7 o'clock this morning. I took my dough out of the fridge, made my dough balls, and I've left that at room temperature in that dough container for the last 4 hours. So the dough's gonna be really supple by the time we go to stretch it out in just a few minutes. This pizza is literally baked naked with nothing on it. So we basically stretch the dough out, which we'll get to, and we launch it with some ice cubes on it, and we let it bake for like 3, 4, 5 minutes. And the idea, the ice cubes kind of keep that center creamy and from blowing up like a pita bread. So we'll get to that part in a second. But now we're going to make the pesto. And our version of pesto today is nut-free. It's got garlic, basil, in fact, basil leaves, they're amazing, big jumbos, some parm, and olive oil. We might add some salt and some crushed red pepper afterwards. But I just basically take a bowl. I've already chopped the garlic. I don't want to show off my knife skills too much. I'm going to put this camera down so you guys can see what I'm doing here. This is what we call like a chiffonade of basil, where I take the basil, these are nice big leaves, and I'm essentially just going to roll them up to a nice tight roll, okay? And now I'm going to take my knife and just chop into a chiffonade first. Is there a better way of doing this? I don't even know. Here's my chiffonade. I'm going to grab another stack because I love basil. And this will stay for, gosh, weeks, right? In the fridge, chef? Right? It's just got oil and it'll stay nice and green. So after I get my nice chiffonade cut, I'm going to do like just a chop to a finer chop. And this is really all preference. I like this. I made this, in fact, yesterday. If you guys are on Instagram, I made the same recipe yesterday, just for fun, to practice. And I just chopped the basil really fine, which I love. But I've actually kept it in chiffonade form as well, which was also pretty cool. But I think visually and when I bite into it, these smaller pieces seem to work a lot better. You can see I've got a nice fine chop of basil. So we can put that into our bowl of garlic, okay? And really, when you're making pesto, it can be any leaves, right? You can use arugula, right, chef? What are some of the leaves we could use for this? Arugula, spinach, kale. You could blend different variations of them, right, inside. I just realized something too, I'll tell you in a second. But there it is, my garlic and my basil. I'm gonna dump some salt in. And this is just some sea salt, right? I'm also going to use some crushed red pepper, just a little bit, add a little spice to it. And now I'm going to do some olive oil. I'm not measuring anything here, guys. I'm kind of going by eye, just enough to, it's olive oil coming out slow, there it goes. Make a nice texture, like a nice pesto. And of course, we've got some parm, right? And now I'll give it a little mix. my hand here, boom. And depending on the consistency I'm looking for, like that's still a little thick for me. I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. There we go. Boom. There's my pesto. Isn't that beautiful? Can you guys smell that? No one can smell that? All right, so I got my pesto done. So let's put that aside. All right. Let's get back to business here. I just realized something. This is a new space for us. So I don't have all the tools that I need yet. And the only pizza paddle I have, I broke. I dropped it. I busted it. So I don't have a pizza paddle. So what am I going to do? I have to adapt. So I'm going to use this cutting board as my pizza paddle. It's obviously I need something to make my pizza on. So I'm going to use this as my peel. So I literally will I'll flour up this like it's a paddle and just kind of shimmy it off that way. So you guys get to see me in action with that custom pizza peel. So let's get right into this. I'm going to bring this down again and show you. I've got flour and semolina flour in this container here. Those are like my ball bearings, right? Pretend this is my pizza peel. Now I'll take my pizza dough. This is about a 250 gram dough ball. Okay. I'm going to coat both sides, right? I'm going to kind of slide it. I'm going to try to work and place this down the end here. Okay. And you can see this dough. Can you see that okay? It's really supple. And this is 250 grams, about a half a pound. I'm just making sure it's not going to stick. Okay. Basil on that. And when it gets to be about 5 or 6 inches in diameter, I'm going to go a little bit more. Some people like it puffy. I like it in the middle. I'm going to let gravity now do its thing. I'm kind of using my hands like a steering wheel, like this, like a fist. And I'm just kind of turning and shaking a little bit and letting gravity do its thing. And I'm trying to work consistently round so the dough stays round. Not that important. You can see I probably got about 7 inches here so far. We'll go a little bit bigger. And this is going to be my canvas, right? For my pesto. And what's really important, once I get this to be here, I'm going to make sure if this is my paddle, that this dough is kind of loose on there. I want to make sure it's sliding like a hockey puck. Really critical, okay? I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Once I get to the size I'd like, I might pinch those edges a little bit. I like to pinch them to make this crust even a little bit more unique if I can. Right? Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Next, I'm going to take some ice cubes. All right, and before I do anything with this, I'm going to go back to my oven here. I'm gonna switch my oven to broil. My oven's now on broil. I'm gonna place my ice cubes on the pizza, maybe 3 or 4 of them. Ooh, it's stuck on here. The idea is these cubes are gonna prevent the center of this pizza from like puffing up too much, okay? I'm gonna make sure this thing's, before I go into my oven, I'm gonna make sure this dough is still gonna slide. It's still sliding, right? So I'm confident now that this thing will go into the oven really beautifully, really easy. So I'm gonna do is move this camera down so you guys can see. Is that seeing it? Yeah, you'll be able to see a little bit. This oven is, yeah, perfect. And my broil is just kind of kicking on right now. So watch how I do this. The oven comes up. These racks slide, which are nice. And just kind of put my peel on there and just lightly shimmy back and forth. Boom. Now what I'll do is I'll close it. I'm gonna bake that for maybe like 2 minutes. If someone can kind of keep an eye, I'll try to keep an eye on the clock. I got a timer up. Let's try. I'll just do it. I'll do one. I think I did a minute and 30. Maybe not. I did an hour and 30. So that might be a little bit too much. Can someone, I'll just, you know what, we'll eyeball it, Chef. We'll be fine. We'll be okay. We'll be all right. Take a deep breath. All right. We'll breathe some positive energy in here and I'll be able to remember that pizza. So what, 2 minutes, I'm going to open up the oven. That ice is going to start to melt, obviously, and pool. And I might dump that water off the steel just to prevent it from getting too wet and too almost like soggy in the center. And I'll just shake it off really quick and then continue. I'll turn the broiler off and bake that thing for another 2 minutes. And boom, we're gonna have this like beautiful crust, hopefully a little char on the outside and the creamy center. And that center is where we're gonna paint our pesto on afterwards. And it's gonna be outstanding, right? So let's take a little peek here. I'm just going to peek. I don't think it's been close to that time. You can see a little bit of getting a little bit of color. You can't see what I'm doing here. I'll show you guys in a second. Because in about 15 seconds, I'm going to do is bring the camera down again so you guys can see what I'm doing. It's a little bit dark, maybe, but that's okay. You see in there, Chef? You see that a little bit? Yeah. So you can see I've got a little bit of color on the crust. So I'm going to splash all that ice off of there, okay? And now I'm going to turn my broiler off. Just go back to convection. I can go to 500. This oven's all electronic. It's fancy. I want to make sure my broiler is off before I go back in so it doesn't get too dark on top here. Another trick, I could just move this down to the bottom steel because my broiler, it's off now, so we're good. That broiler is now off. We're gonna cook this for maybe another 90 seconds. And I can, for the class sake, I can pull it out a little bit sooner than I normally would, just so I can show you like how I'm gonna finish this thing with the pesto. It's really one of the best pizzas we've had. It's great as an appetizer, especially with the basil coming out of the ground now. If you have got some in your I guess I would say your farm, right? Or your plants. If you got some, just pick them off. And this is like a really good use for it. Just make some pesto, wipe it on, paint it on your pizzas. It's a really nice finish. And that can be used as a base. It can be used on, even with, I've seen it with tomato sauce. It's just a great topping for a pizza. I've seen it with like goat cheese on it, which is nice. We had some other interesting, in our class, Chef, we had some interesting combinations with using pesto. Anything ring a bell to you?
We did that kale pesto once in class.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
With like mushrooms too, I think.
Oh, that was really nice. Yeah. So instead of using basil, we used more kale, which we kind of just ground up. It was a really nice finish. Be careful because it can, if you cook it in the oven with the pizza, it can, kind of burn a little bit. So you'll lose some of that appeal, that beautiful colors. That's why I like to use it after the bake. It's a really nice finish. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes. Let's see what this thing looks like. Oh, it's great. It's really good. It's cool. All right, so I'm going to take this off of here. You guys see this? Beautiful. So you can see the center of the pizza where we had the ice cubes. I didn't do a great job of dispersing, but I got a little color here. But that, it adds a little bit of beautifulness to it. The bottom is really cooked nicely. Could have gone a little bit longer, maybe another minute, but I like it. It's firm, right? It's beautifully firm. And we got the center here. So now I'm going to show you what we do because we made that beautiful pesto, right? Now I'm going to do is take my sauce, just spread it on. It's really vibrant, the colors. And I don't go too heavy, just kind of go light. You can add a little bit more cheese afterwards if you like, some more crushed red pepper or whatever you're feeling that day. A little salt. Can you guys smell that? But look at it. You see this, it's really gorgeous. And it smells amazing, right? Just awesome. show you like a close up. Not pretty. Doesn't look like much, but it tastes really amazing. It's incredible. It's subtle. It's like really small amount of topping on there, and you can just really get that aroma. It's a crowd pleaser for everybody. One of my wife's favorites. So thank you, Alexandra, for this incredible recipe that we get to share with you guys. And now we can get to some questions.